This is Inside LAFC Podcast. Glad you could join us on a very exciting week as we're heading towards Decision Day. We'll talk all about that coming your way on Saturday. Make sure you are at BMO Stadium for that. We'll give you all the details. Max Bretos here, Steve Beitashour there, and another. I know we're bracing for shows where we have to have a really difficult conversation. But once again, Beta, this isn't one of them.
It's not one of them. Always good to see you. And yeah, it's a great weekend and fun topics for us to talk about because the boys are taking care of business, continuing that streak. We love it.
We sure do. And we will recap a little about the Vancouver Whitecaps game. But let us, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, very special guest here today, La Joya, the Jewel, David Martínez, who has been a big factor. He was a big factor on Sunday in Vancouver. Will join the program. We'll talk about his upbringing in Venezuela, getting involved with the national team down there, and his move and how he's really embraced it to Major League Soccer and LAFC. That is coming up ahead. But we begin, Beta, with another win. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight. 5 straight wins when starting with that Open Cup when LAFC was such a fragile frame of mind. And now they are storming through here. I think a few weeks ago, we talked about it, and we were saying, where would they get results? I said, no way they get it at Vancouver. It's going to be too tough. Granted, Vancouver was missing a ton of players. We should mention that. And that sprung an opportunity. But now it's in our back rearview mirror, and it's 5 straight wins with 1 game left in the regular season.
Yeah, going into that game, and you're looking at Vancouver and how they started off the season, and they're going in with a 5-game losing streak. And now LAFC is going into it with a 5-game winning streak. Like, who would have thought? And here we are. We're talking about it. Open Cup champions. We got that one trophy. I'm going to bring it up. We got the trophy. And now you're flying into the playoffs. Guys are healthy. You've got just so many options as far as depth goes within the roster. Guys look like they're informed, confident. The young guys are stepping up. Man, it's really good to see. And we talked about it before, home or away, these guys are getting results. So the boys should be proud of themselves because it's enjoyable. It's fun to watch, and I know they enjoy winning.
I'm glad you brought up the beginning of that winning streak because when it happened, I pegged Vancouver as a team that could get into those top 4, top 3 spots. We'll leave it at that. Be higher. And it's just teams are going in different directions, and thankfully the black and gold is one of those that are trending in the right direction. So let's talk a little bit about this Whitecaps game. Just 3 international absentees, and we'll talk about the international window. So Denny Bouanga, Christian Oliveira, and Maxime Chanot. Could have easily been a lot more. I don't know anything about anything, but I imagine there was a conversation with Poland about keeping Matty Bogusz here because they had a Nations League game, but they desperately needed him, and he scores in the opening minute. And we talked about the last international window, and the problem for LAFC, and remember they got a point, I believe that was the Dynamo game, that they lost all their wingers. They lost all their attacking players. But with Bogusz there and Giroud there, and you get David Martínez, you still have a pretty menacing front 3. And without Matty Bogusz, I don't think that is possible.
I agree. And it's crazy to look at those 3 and just mention that to any other roster, and they would happily put all 3 of those players into their front 3. In that first goal, you listen to the presser by Steve Cherundolo talking about we need to get an early goal and then we can manage the game. What was that, a minute into the game? And the 3 of them, right? You've got a great hold-up play by Giroud, and then the ball. I couldn't get over that ball by Martínez. Are we sure this is how old he is?
Like that ball, vintage Carlos Vela, whoop!
That ball was ridiculous. Drives in, puts it on the inside shoulder, the weight of the pass. And then when Bogusz scores that goal, I had to go look it up again. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's right-footed. I'm pretty sure he's not left-footed. I don't know if people understand the difficulty of chipping that ball with your weak foot into the far post over the keeper like that. It is so hard to do that with your dominant foot. You do that with your weak foot. Oh man, I was like, yeah, they're going to win this game. What a start! What a start from LAFC for that game.
Yeah, he didn't score a goal, but I thought that first 45 minutes, the best we've seen Olivier Giroud. You can still, he wants more work, and there's a little frustration about not getting the service when he wants it. But he got a hockey assist on the Bogusz goal. Yeah. There was a couple other stand-up moments with his back to goal, which allowed Martinez or Bogusz or O'Brien to make this incredible run. So while the goals aren't there, you see he's not just a pair of shoes, man. He can certainly provide a level of quality there that no team can really match.
It's a difficult thing for teams to match up against because you have pacey wingers with Bogusz, with Martinez, with Oliveira, with Bouanga. It's difficult to deal with that. But then you have someone like Giroud that checks in underneath. As a center back, you don't want to go stepping into that space. And now you're freeing up all these lanes, all this area behind you for your fast wingers to go in behind. And so it brings a different dynamic. And now you see, Giroud comfortable with LAFC and how they play. Obviously, he wants more service in the box and scores goals. Every striker wants that. But the fact that he's so comfortable in doing this for the team because they are winning, it's a breath of fresh air from a player of his standards and his quality to see him be like, you know what? Yeah, no problem. I'll come collect the ball. We can build off of me and you guys do your thing. But it reminds me of, 2018-19 when I was with LAFC. And, our wingers were scoring all the goals. And, anytime our 9 was playing there, they weren't necessarily getting a ton of goals, but they were getting a lot of assists or hockey assists, as you mentioned it, right? They'd have to pull off. They'd have to slip the wingers in. It's just the way LAFC plays. But it's fun to see him doing well because he's such a good player. And that's kind of the style that LAFC plays.
The Whitecaps probably deserved more from this game. Once LAFC took the lead, Vancouver had the better chances. They had more of the possession. They had more chances. But LAFC, obviously, we'll talk about the game winner here. But when I saw that starting 11 based on the missing players, I go, man, this is a stupendous starting 11. And I predicted they would win. Lewis O'Brien is consistently good. Timothy Tillman, maybe a minor bad patch at the end of summer. He's back to where he's playing well. Sergi Palencia is in conversation for Defender of the Year. Aaron Long is in conversation for Defender of the Year. Hugo Lloris for Goalkeeper of the Year. Omar Campos is continuing to, along with Martinez, to progress in the right direction. The only one we didn't know about was Marlon, our guest last week. And he clearly knows what he's doing. That's a real nice luxury to have.
Yeah. Every time I watch Palencia, I've said this since last year to Jordan Harvey, and he'll attest. I love Palencia. I think he is such a good outside back, not just in this league, just a good outside back. He understands it. But then you got guys coming in like Marlon, who I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, man, he looks like he's legit, very good player. And then Tillman, you mentioned it. There was a little stretch after his injury, which is completely normal. You have to get game fitness and you have to get your confidence back, where he struggled a little bit. But, he puts up a man of the match performance. I have to mention his goal line clearance right before the game winner. It's such a heads up play what he does. It's a set piece. He's on the far post marking. And I've been in that position before. Some coaches tell you not to do that. Some people are like, you know what, read it. If you feel like you need to drop into the goal and leave your mark wide open, do that. And his instinct to see, you know what, someone's going to win that header from Vancouver. Let me drop into this far post and clear it off the line, chest it down and get it out to safety. It's just such a smart heads up play. And, it's safe to say that he's back. He's confident, he's healthy, and he looks good.
Yes. I had my end of year votes, and I have Aaron Long as Defender of the Year, and I posted out on X, and a lot of people were like, Sergi. So I was like, I felt I had to split the votes, but I have Aaron.
Sergi's got mine. I'm gonna let you know right now. He's got my vote.
All right, so hopefully an LAFC defender wins that. Let's talk about the bench impact. 1-1, which doesn't do LAFC enough. We'll get into the ramifications, what is required to catch the Galaxy here. But 1-1 wasn't going to do it. They needed to win this game, and they were able to do it. You mentioned the goal line clearance, and then there's this turnover. Matty Bogusz tackles the Vancouver player, whose name escapes me at this moment. He pops it in there to Nate Ordaz, who came off the bench. He makes this run. He cuts between the two Whitecaps defenders. The entire crowd at BC Place goes, ooh, because they saw something amazing. He gets it to Kai Kamara, who just came off the bench. He gets to Ilie, who also came off the bench. and scores it away. So a great play by Bogusz, but for Steve Cherundolo to come out and get those three guys off the bench, not a bad trio. You don't know about Nathan because he's a young player, maybe his best player for LAFC, and one of the better goals this season or any season for the Black and Gold, especially if we look back at it and they get the first seed and whatever that leads to. This goal, and because of the pieces that they were able to pull off the bench, it was all made possible.
We're going to look back at this goal, and this could be the breaking out party for Ordaz. You can see him tinkering on the edge, just like he's got quality. He's got good size, good strength, good speed, good kid, everything check. But for me, all the games that I've watched in the past for Ordaz, he hasn't gotten over the hump, right? This instance where he collects the ball at midfield, drives down the field, keeps possession, right? He has two Whitecaps players on him, gives them a little shimmy, splits them through, and finds the pass to Kamara. For me, that just showed maturity. Obviously, the skill is there. Hopefully, this is the moment that it gets him over the hump that, yeah, you can play in this league. It gives him the confidence to continue to do that and more. Because it was a phenomenal play. You said it. The Whitecaps fans, a little ooh, a little ah. As an away team, you don't want to do that. That's usually the home team. But then it just shows you the guys that they have. Kamara coming off the bench, so calm in the box, just shields it, takes a look around, let me find an open player, and then just what a finish. I think he might have nicked the post, if I'm not mistaken, on the near post. He had the overlap going across in the 90-something minute, right? We're talking about just fundamentals, one side to the other. Find your pivot, overlap, use them, don't use them, get a shot, score. It was beautiful soccer. I loved everything about that.
It was pretty. Ilie Sanchez talked about that, and he said he went through the checklist about, okay, do I get the player here? But he was told, if you see some space, take it. And he did, and he scored a cracking goal. We know he doesn't score a lot. And first class, Kai Kamara went to Nathan Ordaz, picked him up. Ilie pointed at Nate and said, that was you. It was just, it gives you some goosebumps. So
sure.
Huge win. Huge win for LAFC. I'm going to talk about the international window a little bit. We'll keep it brief because the players that were missing. Denny Bouanga, a win and a loss for Gabon against Lesotho, which I have to see where it is on the map. But that is going to put them in good shape to qualify for the African Cup of Nations, which is December of 2025 in January, which is good news. It doesn't conflict with the MLS calendar. Christian Oliveira started for Uruguay and Peru, a game they lost, which was major alarm bells. And they are playing here in a little bit. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so we don't have the second game. Maxime Chanot did not play for Luxembourg, so we'll see what that meant, but he is expected back. So the 11 they had at Vancouver, I think, could probably get the job done against the Earthquakes on Saturday, but getting these guys in, I would imagine Bouanga some point Thursday, Oliveira probably Friday. It probably rules him out of the game Saturday, and Chanot probably around Thursday as well. All hands on deck.
Yeah, all hands on deck and some good options for Steve Cherundolo, to say the least. But before last week or the week before, I mentioned it, for these international breaks, just get you guys healthy, bring it back, and that's what they did. I think that was the most important thing for LAFC. So now, yes, you do have a plethora of options now going into the final game of the season, decision day.
Do you remember you were part of the team when we had that window, that international window, and 6 players went out and they all got COVID? All 6 of them.
I remember that. It was crazy. That was just a crazy time, Max. We don't want to talk about that. PTSD. Don't bring it up.
I know, but you hold your breath. You never know. This
Yeah.
is a demanding stretch. I mean, Oliveira's in World Cup qualifying.
Yeah.
That's the highest thing for a player. So all good for the international window update. Wipe that off your memory banks. What I brought up about, was it 2020? Water under the bridge. Decision day. It is coming around Saturday. LAFC Earthquakes, and we'll preview the Earthquakes game here in a little bit. But I think a lot of people want to know what's at stake, and LAFC have a really good shot at first place. I'm going to go through the criteria here, the ramifications.
Yeah, let them know.
The scenarios.
The scenarios, yes.
And we'll see what you think. So, 3 points, Galaxy lead it. So the Galaxy need to lose. They're playing at Houston, which is desperate right now for a win to get themselves hopefully as high as 5th. So they're going to be playing with their best players and going for it. Galaxy okay on the road, not a great team on the road. LAFC at home against San Jose, which is the worst team in the league. The worst defense as well. I think they've allowed 75 goals. And there's the spoiler roll. So that is, you would expect LAFC to win. You would expect Galaxy to maybe tie, possibly lose, could win. So the first scenario, the first tiebreaker is wins. If the Galaxy lose and LAFC win, they will both be, I think, the same amount of wins, 19 wins. So they go to the second tiebreaker. The second tiebreaker is goal differentials, which Galaxy have a 2-goal edge. So if Galaxy lose by one goal, and LAFC wins by a goal, they're even on goal differential. So a third goal on either side for LAFC, they move to first. The third one, if that is tied, would be goals scored, and the Galaxy have 68 and LAFC has 60, so they're not going to catch them. So let's focus in on that second tiebreaker. It's for everything the LAFC has done, I think it will be fair to say, on what's going to be a magic night there for Decision Day, they'll do their part. They probably, in my estimation, have to really hope that Houston can do a job for them.
I can see both scenarios now where Houston does get the victory. Let's just say 2-1. Okay. So Galaxy loses one of their goal differentials. And I could see LAFC putting 3 or 4 on the Quakes. Quakes, I know it's decision day. You're going to the last game and guys are playing for their jobs. But I went to their game against Salt Lake in San Jose, and I was like, it was disheartening watching that performance at home. It's your last game in front of your Earthquakes fans, and that's what you put out. So I just can't imagine they put something else out in LA against one of the best teams in the league. I thought that they put a better performance at home than they did. So now I have no hope for a great performance from them. Usually I'd say yes, Max. As a player, even if you're out of the playoffs, you're playing for your job. You're playing for the next job. Right? You're not going to make the playoffs. It's been done for however many weeks or months. But everybody's watching. Teams, coaches are watching, okay, what player can we take onto our team next year? Or are the Earthquakes front office and staff saying we can bring this player back and we can bring this player back? Everybody else, no. So you would think guys are playing for their job, but I'm watching that game against Salt Lake and I'm like, no, they're not. They've checked out. And it's sad to say that as a professional that you saw that. So yes, now it's a matter of LAFC. How many can you put in on? Because you need more than 2. You need 3 or 4, right? So
well, you need 2. If you need 2,
if they lose, you're right. You need the 2, and then that'll get you 1 ahead of them. Yeah. So,
but if you got 2, might as well get 3.
Might as well. Just to be safe.
Hey guys, let's make it abundantly clear, just to make sure. But you know, get going, and look, this is a good spot for the Earthquakes because they're going to be, in the spotlight with the chance. We'll preview the game here in a moment. I want to get your thoughts on Decision Day. And before I say it, I think I don't want to say LAFC are going to do it. I feel very confident that they can get there. And it's important because if you finish first, if things go chalk in the playoffs, you host the Western Final against the Galaxy or whomever. You still could if the top seed Galaxy get knocked out, but why risk that? I will also say the third seed's going to probably be the Sounders, and you don't want to play them because they've been red hot. And the Galaxy, the LAFC, we've talked about it. They've beaten them every time this year at some point.
Yeah.
I don't want any part of the Sounders. See if you can get on the other side of the bracket.
We said that about Vancouver too, and somehow LAFC beat them against. I don't know. We keep saying LAFC just keeps doing it. So, oh well, we'll see whoever they get. But yeah, sorry, you were saying.
No, I'm talking about Decision Day. When we hear about players and their scoreboard watching, what is that like? So LAFC need Houston to win. They're going to want to keep. When you played in a Decision Day and you knew a result had to go your way, where was your mind? How did you prepare for a game? Focusing on your game, but hoping you get some good news from the sideline? Or how did you get, if you did get good news, where did you get it from?
It's funny, when I started in the league in 2010, we didn't do this Decision Day where all the teams play at the same time, and you couldn't necessarily scoreboard watch too much. It was, that team already played or that team's playing after you. So I like this. It brings a lot more excitement to it. And as far as the staff goes, they decide if we're going to scoreboard watch. Every team's different, right? So I've had coaches where we're not going to watch. We're not going to look. We're going to handle our own business. But I've had other coaches where they're like, guys, like if just say if Houston is winning 3-0 or something, like guys, like we have the victory right now. Take it easy. Don't send so many forward, or maybe something else. Like we have to just push. We have to push. So it's based off of the staff and what they want. So the players obviously don't have phones on them. They're not going to check during it. It's what you hear from the bench and from the staff. So everyone's
thinking about it. But
at the end of the day, you have to handle business. If you're looking for hand-me-outs from other teams, that's not a good thing. And so they know right now, look, Houston has to do them a favor. But if they don't handle their own business, it doesn't matter what Houston does. So I think LAFC is going into it. We have to just handle our business. If we get first, great. If we get second, so be it. LAFC has been phenomenal on the road this year. So if they have to play one game on the road, who cares?
Second's not bad, man. 3 weeks ago, we were wondering if they'd be in the top 4. We really were.
I can't believe that we had that discussion. Looking now, man, 5 in a row. Unbelievable. Yeah.
I remember Greg Berhalter during the Copa America when I think Bolivia tied their game. And he's like, they scored. And he told the players. And he got so much grief for that. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The players he's still saying, what's at stake. We can win it if this. And it didn't happen. But I understand both sides of that, whether they don't want you to know or if they do. Maybe there's a combination. But it's very interesting. I think a lot of people are curious to know about that.
Yeah, it's very different. Again, I mentioned about staffs. Some coaches have said it. Some say don't even look at it. But if you took a poll with all the fans out there, it'd be pretty 50-50 on who says, yeah, I want to know, and who says no. Just take care of your own business and whatever happens at the end. And so, yeah, it's really, I think it's very close to 50-50 on what to do.
Yeah. The fans will be watching. The fans
can watch. They should
watch. Double, triple screen that. See what other teams are doing, because you will find out who we will play, and we don't know. It could be Colorado. It could be the 8-9 game. It could be Houston. It could be Vancouver. So we don't know, but we will know the next time we're on this podcast, and we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, looking forward to it. That'll be fun.
Me too, man. This is fun. Let's talk about the Earthquakes again. They're coming in here, and I want to say this about the Earthquakes. I'm curious about their offseason, because with LAFC and Galaxy playing so well and San Diego coming in, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to have a big offseason. I think they're going to attempt to do something interesting and big. So this is a big offseason for them. This is the final game going into that offseason. Again, worst defense. They've actually clipped a couple people here along the way. And playing spoiler, Houston at home had a chance to really secure it. St. Louis City was their opponent, had nothing to play for. St. Louis City crushed them. Portland had a chance to get a win. I called that game a couple weeks ago, and they lost at home to Austin, who had nothing to play for. So spoiler roll does pick some teams up. San Jose, capable. They beat LAFC earlier in the year. Really good if the ball is stopped with set pieces. So don't do that. So LAFC have to be careful. Christian Espinosa is a guy who's killed them before. I imagine he's going to be out there. You said it about the Vancouver game and other games. LAFC, this isn't, I think Steve Cherundolo will say, we got to get off to a good start. You get an early goal. Yeah. That should take Earthquakes. How do you see the best approach to this game?
Very similar to the Whitecaps game in Vancouver, where you don't want to give Earthquakes hope right now. If they get an early goal, then they're going to be fighting for a lot of 50-50s that, LAFC still has to think about the playoffs, right? So do guys get out of tackles? You don't want to start thinking about that kind of stuff. You just want the Earthquakes to surrender, throw in the white flag, get that early goal. These guys are already thinking about their vacation. They don't want to be getting stuck into tackles. But if you give them that early goal, they might say, let's get just one for the offseason, one final one. Obviously Ian Russell, I've played under him. Great coach. He's also fighting for a job. The players should be fighting for a job. So if you get that early goal for LAFC, I think they'll just back off. But if San Jose gets an early one, like a set piece, like you mentioned, then it becomes a bit of a fight. And, you don't want that against a team that has nothing to lose, if that makes sense.
Right. So, a weird balance. We've seen it so many times in the sport. Yeah. San Jose, for all of their shortcomings, Espinoza, Hernan Lopez, Jeremy Abobasi, guys that are capable of scoring. We've seen it firsthand. But again, it's going to be truly a spectacle. And LAFC have had some issues with the Earthquakes, more so at their place, but sometimes at home as well. And I want to mention this about BMO Stadium and what you should know, because this is decision day. I had a chat with Will Ferrell, who always does the Falconer on decision day, and I mentioned how well of a job you did, and see if we could get you in there for decision day.
I can't take that away from him. I would love to be there, but it's Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah, I know. I figured you'd say that.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll go and support him. I love Will Ferrell. He actually, we were talking about this not too long ago. He did the baby announcement for Braden, my first son, when we were in LA. He's just such a good person. And so if he wants me to join him, I will, but I would never take that spotlight away from him, because he is just an amazing Falconer and person. So yeah.
Just a quick story about Will Ferrell, and he's been first class with me, and he's been in a lot of games. I was on the ESPN desk for the first LAFC game against the Seattle Sounders. I said, Will, would you be kind enough to do a little video? I want to post it for my son. He's really nervous about moving to LA, and I wonder if you could tell him how great it is. He goes, sure. He grabs the phone. He goes, what's your son's name? He goes, Maxie. He goes, hey, Maxie, don't come to Los Angeles. You're going to hate it. Stay in Connecticut.
He's so great. Like, what a person. It's funny. I don't remember which game it was. I think I was either resting or maybe I was injured or something. We went up to the owner's suite. My wife went up there. We took our son. We're just hanging out with some of the owners, and it was really cool to see that perspective, that side of it. And so, Will sees, our son, and he's holding him, and my son does one of these. You know how babies he was little at the time, a few months old, throws his head back, and Will's wife, my wife, myself, we all thought my baby's going down. Braden's just going to hit the deck, like he lost them. And we all scream and kind of lunge to catch, and Will, he doesn't drop him, he holds them, and the look he gives all of us, how dare you? I'm not going to drop this baby.
Sharp as a whip, that one.
It's like, shoo, I got him. I've had lots of good Will Ferrell stories, but he's an amazing person. So hopefully we get to see him.
Yes, we are going to see it. It's Fan Appreciation Night. And I want everyone to know that LAFC will be celebrating the 10-year history of the announcement of the club, that they said that they were going to create this club, and the rest has been an amazing history. This is going to be a special decision day. So I want to let you know you will want to be in your seat early. So get your tailgating in, leave a little early from home, because it's going to be a spectacle inside the LAFC Fan Fest from 2 o'clock to 5:30. The game will kick off a little after 6. Christmas Tree Lane, big fan fest, merchandise specials. Enjoy the debut of LAFC HQ Outlet, featuring special discounts and end-of-season sales. Get some stuff off the rack at a great price. The first 10,000 fans will receive a limited edition 10 Years of History pennant, courtesy of DoorDash. 50% off in-stadium concession until 5:30. 50%. And you will get early to witness, what I'm being told, a full stadium mosaic and tifo display. Maybe multiple tifos. Plus our U.S. Open Cup trophy celebration. Banners. Beta, this is amazing.
What a night. Holy, that is a lot going on. And they deserve it. The fans deserve it. The team deserves it. It's a heck of a year. Unbelievable year, and continue that into the playoffs.
Yeah, man. I'll see if we can get you down there, but I know you're very busy. But I'll do a FaceTime so you can absorb it all. I will be on the call, which was another just a gift, so I'll be able to do it. I'll give this Earthquakes their due diligence. I'm a professional. But very excited to be there to see all of this.
Call Max if I don't talk to you before then.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. I got 2 hands here. So Fan Appreciation Night. Get there by 4:30, 5 o'clock. 50% discount, get your merch, see your buddies, get there earlier, and make sure you're in your seat before the kickoff. Good stuff, Beta. We will we'll talk playoffs next time around.
I'm looking forward to it. Always good seeing you. Enjoy the game.
Good man. We are not done here on Inside LAFC podcast. Joining us next La Jolla, David Martínez, who's becoming the favorite of many fans out there. He joins us next here on Inside LAFC podcast.
Inside LAFC podcast is presented by Freeway Insurance, driving savings.
Welcome back to Inside LAFC podcast. Someone I'm sure everyone was looking forward to hearing from, and here he is, LAFC forward David Martínez, La Jolla, joining us here on the podcast. We're very excited. We're going to do the translation here, get to know him a little bit. Gracias por estar con nosotros, David.
Un placer.
Qué bueno. Queremos conocer un poquito más de ti. Habla un poco de dónde eres. Talking about where he's from.
Nada, soy de Venezuela. Nací en el Tigre. Un chico muy tranquilo, muy familiar y que siempre quiso desde pequeño ser jugador profesional y ahora lo está cumpliendo, ¿no?
He says from Venezuela, from El Tigre, a very chill kid with a family, a good family background, always wanted to be pursuing a football career from a very early age. David, we know a lot about football venezolano and your process. When did you know you wanted to be a soccer player? Because it's hard in Venezuela. It's not Colombia. It's not Brazil. So that process for you. Creciendo en Venezuela y tú querías ser futbolista. Y porque esto no es Colombia o Brasil, ¿qué fue los desafíos para seguir su carrera?
Nada, creo que desde pequeño, desde que tuve cierta edad, que muchas personas veían mi talento, mi familia y mi hermano, que fue el que me enseñó, el que siempre estuvo conmigo, siempre me dijeron que no iba a ser fácil y que nadie te regala esto, ¿no? Creo que me lo fui ganando poco a poco. No fue un proceso fácil, pero no ha sido fácil hasta ahora, pero hasta ahora me ha ido muy bien y nada, lo voy llevando de la mejor manera.
Pursuing this at an early age, people saw my talent. My brother, who was always with me, showed me. He said it's never going to be easy, and it still hasn't been easy, not till now, but it's good to see the success and the process that I am taking this. ¿Cuándo sabías que esto es algo que querías buscar? When did you know that you could be a legit professional footballer? ¿Cuándo sabías que tenía esa cosa para ser un gran éxito?
Sí, bueno, desde pequeño siempre me gustó el fútbol, pero lo comencé a tomar más en serio cuando tenía 12, 13 años, que me decían que era un talento que no lo tenía cualquier persona, ¿no? Hasta mis padres, mis hermanos, y ya a los 15, 14 me lo comencé a tomar un poco más en serio, porque me di cuenta de lo que era, del nivel que podía dar y que estaba para grandes cosas.
Football, I was there. There was development when I was 12 or 13, but then my talent started to shine through my family when I was 14 or 15, and that's when I took it a lot more seriously and the level as well. Creciendo en su carrera, ¿quiénes son sus ídolos? Who are your favorite players?
Siempre fue Messi. Siento también que Salomón Rondón, de Venezuela, y Neymar.
He said, well, Messi, Salomón Rondón, who's a very famous Venezuelan player, and then after a couple seconds, he mentioned Neymar. Recently, after being called up to the youth teams of Venezuela, you got called into the main national team. and it feels like you're certainly getting closer to getting that on a regular basis. Where are you on that? Reciente era convocado al equipo nacional venezolano. ¿Piensas que eres más cerca de ser parte de ese grupo más y más?
Sí, bueno, tuve la oportunidad de estar con ellos, de poder jugar, quizás por la lesión que tuve y eso no me tomaron mucho en cuenta, pero sí, siento que estoy en el nivel, siento que puedo aportar mucho para ellos y nada, siento que no estoy apurado por estar ahí, ¿no? Siento que va a llegar mi momento y me lo voy a tomar con calma.
Yes, I had the opportunity to play. There was an injury I had, which may have taken away from my opportunity to make a more of an impact, but I feel my level is there. I feel I can help them, but I'm not rushed to be there at this moment. I figure my time will come when it does. Venezuela never qualified for the World Cup. They're doing okay here in this qualification, and many people feel this is the time for a young player from Venezuela. What would that mean? What would it mean for your friends, your family, and your country? Y si clasifica para la Mundial, Venezuela que no han clasificado un Mundial anteriormente, para ti, tu familia, tus hermanos, tus amigos y tu país, ¿qué significa eso?
Sería un sueño, ¿no? Porque creo que es lo que todos queremos. Creo que la fanaticada, creo que toda Venezuela quiere estar en un mundial, más para los jugadores que siempre han querido participar y siento que estamos haciendo las cosas muy bien y con el favor de Dios espero que podamos clasificar y para mí personalmente sería algo único y especial porque uno de mis sueños es poder jugar un mundial con Venezuela y nada, creo que sería extraordinario.
It will be a dream. It's what we all want. The fanatics there have been so good for the program, and they certainly deserve it. More for what we are doing that it would mean so much for us. And personally speaking, what it would mean for me, it's one of my dreams to play at a World Cup, and that would obviously fulfill that. Let's talk a little bit about your time here with LAFC. Your reaction to this move when it happened and what was, and how have you been able to handle it? Su llegada a LAFC, tu reacción de venir al fútbol estadounidense y en particularmente venir a este club.
Nada, creo que fue muy lindo para mí porque sí, tenía varios clubes, pero creo que tomé la buena decisión mi familia y yo. Creo que venimos al lugar correcto. Desde la llegada creo que los jugadores, el staff, todos me recibieron de una manera increíble. Creo que todos me ayudaron a acoplarme al sistema del equipo, al estar aquí y sé que no es muy fácil porque estar aquí con 18 años y estar solo no es para cualquier persona, pero lo he ido llevando de la mejor manera y hasta el día de hoy he recibido el mejor trato.
Very beautiful for me. It was the right club for me. There was a lot of clubs pursuing me at the time, but this was the right place. The players that have been here have been incredible, great teammates that have made this a lot easier for me. And they welcome me. And that's very difficult for a kid who is 18 years old by themselves to make that transition here. Final question, David. Última pregunta sobre qué han pasado aquí. 16 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, playing more and more, beautiful play. And it feels like you've really arrived as a player on the senior level. Estás jugando más y más. ¿Qué te dijeron los entrenadores para que te puedes ser titular y jugar más y jugar como se quería jugar con este club?
Siento que lo he llevado con calma, ¿no? Me han ayudado a llevarlo con calma porque tuve una lesión de 3 meses y no fue nada fácil, ¿no? Pero en cada entrenamiento, cada partido, saben lo que puedo dar y lo que puedo aportar al equipo y siempre me han estado ayudando, me han estado hablando lo que puedo hacer, lo que debo hacer, lo que no debo hacer y creo que es muy importante para mí, ¿no? Y siento que me ha acoplado mucho, siento que he aportado mucho para el equipo y esta semana y en los playoffs espero dar lo mejor y poder ayudar al equipo.
I take everything with calm. I got to remember that I was injured for 3 months this season. But more and more each training session, each game, I want to help the team. They always help me, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. The support is there. And I look forward to this final game and decision day and the playoffs where the best will be coming. David, fantástico. Y un día vamos a hacerlo en inglés.
Vale, vale.
Vale, vale. Y felicidades por ser el parte del 22 de 22.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
David Martínez, he has to finish his session here. We're out of time for Inside LAFC. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back to get you ready in playoff mode. Until then, rate, review, download, subscribe. We'll talk to you very soon.